Bookcase and Coffee presents Buzzing About Romance, a quick shot of romance.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Buzzing About Romance, a quick shot of romance. And on this episode, I am joined by podcast contributor Heather, and we are reviewing Lessons Learned by Marie James. Welcome back, Heather.
Hi, Leah. Thanks for having me.
Do you want to go ahead and read the synopsis from Goodreads for us?
I definitely do. They call me a soldier of fortune. I go where the money takes me. Lauren Boss, an FBI agent, and I were an odd pairing, having met years ago on another job. Against my better judgment, I let her under my skin. She got me in a way no other woman had before, but it still didn't stop her from stepping over my lifeless body the first chance she got. The day she left me for dead changed me in too many ways to count. Now that our paths have crossed again, all I can think about is revenge. The problem with punishing Lauren Boss is that instead of running as far from me as she can, she enjoys the way I treat her. Her need for degradation, may be the death of both of us. The Mission Mercenaries series is a Cerberus MC spinoff, and expect crossovers to happen.
Okay, so the release date on this is October 13th, 2022. The tropes are enemies to lovers. It is a dark romance. It has some triggers that you definitely want to check that, because I think Marie has them listed on her website, but I'm not 100% sure on that. And it is an anti-hero. It's a damaged heroine, a damaged hero. So there's a lot. It is dark. Like if you don't like dark, this is not for you.
And I would say it has dubious consent. So if that is something not for you, this won't be your book. And that's okay, because not every book is for everybody.
Okay, so the series for this book, it is book number 1 in the Mission Mercenary series. Is brand new. It is an interconnected series, but since there's not a book 2, we don't know how standalone they're going to be. It's a dual first person point of view. The put out percentage is 19%. So
the book 2 is on my Kindle, and I purposely did not start it until
we did this. They tease book 2 at the end of book 1. So
like in a really great way.
Okay. So anyway, what did you love about the main characters of this book?
I really loved that they were flawed and that she didn't try to cover it up. They were very two imperfect people that I think throughout the book, I was like, should I be rooting for these two? Like, I don't know. Like, do I like them? Do I not like them? But you just really couldn't help kind of be pulling for them.
I agree. I think that these two, it took me probably until the end of the book to really be like, I get it. Like, I understand the thought process behind their actions.
Yeah, and they're definitely anti-heroes. They're
100%.
They aren't the bad guys, but they aren't totally the good guys either. I'm not 100% sure how else to explain it to you. They're definitely in the gray in the middle zone.
I don't even know if they're in the dark gray. Like, they're not, like, it's that black and white. They are definitely towards the dark side.
And I think it really, I loved that. Because I think it really pushed me out of my reading comfort zone.
Well, and the one thing too, that these are two characters, they don't give a fuck about anything or anyone. Like, they are out for themselves. Like, yes, Lauren is an FBI agent when you first meet her, but she is not the most moral person, and she doesn't always do things the right way. And the things that she has allowed to happen to her throughout her career it's kind of appalling in a sense, because it's like, why would you let that happen? But like, that is her penance for things that you find out in the book. And so, like, as the book progresses and you get her story, or like, you want to hug her, but then she would deck you, so you don't do that.
Right. Yeah. She is scary.
Yeah. Okay. So what doesn't work for you for the main characters?
I really wasn't sure how deep their connection was. And I
Mm-hmm.
think what it is that they were a good pair. They liked each other, but it was really hard to tell if they were really deeply connected.
Mm-hmm.
They're so damaged that they really couldn't admit to each other their feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot of unsaid feelings.
Well, there was a lot of like toxicity connected to both of them too. And like the
Mhm.
way, honestly, the way they treated each other, it was almost as if they had a determination to hurt the other one any way they possibly could. But at the same time, like it was out of like this intense connection they have.
There was a lot of internal angst, I think, that
Mhm.
they had a lot of angst, feelings about themselves. Like
Yeah.
not they had feelings about other people, but they kind of just felt about themselves that they didn't maybe deserve good
There's
things.
a lot of self-hate.
Hmm.
And it wasn't even like they disliked themselves. Like there was a lot of self-hate, and it was like they're the things that the choices they made are their punishment, like the lives they lead are the punishment for the lives that they had like when
Hmm.
they were younger. It's like I just I understood it, but I had a hard time with it because I didn't know if I would like this book. And I've read a lot of Marie James.
Hmm.
And going into it, like I knew that she was writing something different. But the way the book was set up, it took a little bit to get into it.
Hmm. I would agree. I am a big, huge fan of Marie James, read the Blackbird Security series, and it was so good.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I saw this from her, I was like, oh, but then I was reading and I was like, oh, this is a huge departure for her.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she even said on her Instagram, or so, I read it somewhere, maybe in her newsletter, where she said, I really pushed myself out of my comfort zone with this book.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm asking my readers to be pushed out of their comfort
Yeah.
zone. And she
Oh, I
did.
was. Yeah.
She did.
So what was the dynamic in this book?
They really just could not stay away from each other. There
Mm-hmm.
was some pull and just this mutual understanding of the trauma, and they have that connection around trauma, but they also have this really intense connection that I don't think other people would understand.
Mm-hmm. I agree because it's one of those moments where they both had this energy, like one when they were both in the same area or same room, like they were pooled, like the energy in it, not just this author has done this, but you read different books where heroines or heroes know like when their hero or heroine has entered the room because the energy around them changes. It's like this general feel that they know this person they are destined to be with, even if they're trying to keep a separation, like they know that they are close.
Yeah, and they have each other's backs, like
Mm-hmm.
really, truly. Like
Yeah.
they obviously, it took
Even
some
when
time
they
to
don't
get there.
want to. Mm-hmm.
It took some time for them to get there, but they did get there.
Well, and there's one scene where he saves her, and I'm not going to give away anything because it's one of those things you have to read it.
Yep.
And he basically even says he's like, I don't know why I'm doing this.
I mean, he has
Like,
this like really both of the characters have a lot of internal, I don't want to say dialogue, but we get a lot of their internal thoughts.
Yeah.
And he even says, like, I'm not even like, he's doing this and he's like so angry at himself that he is saving
that
her.
he's making that decision. Yeah. So let's talk about the feels of this book. So
there really aren't any feelings.
There's not a lot of feels. Like it's not a static book though. Like, and that's the thing. Like there's not a lot of pleasant feels in this book. How about that one? Because there are a lot of feels. They're just not pleasant feels. Like it's not static. It is a moving emotion, but it's not positive.
No, and I think they work out their crap, but probably in a way that other people wouldn't. I have a colleague that is she's really into reading. So she saw this book and she was like, I'm going to download it. And I was like, okay, yes, one, yes, you should. If you have any content triggers, but two, if you have trigger warnings, I mean, like, and I kind of list them for her, and she's like, oh, I have no triggers. And she's like, the whole time I'm reading this is like, they need to go to therapy, Heather. Like, why are these people in therapy? And I kept thinking that too. I think Marie Drains did a really great job writing this. Like, I think it's easy that we live in this rose-colored, glasses romance world, but it's really not reality. And like, I don't want to say this is they're like the underbelly, but this is definitely part of society that people don't want to talk about. But they also need someone to support them and love them and have their back too.
Was there any part of this book that resonated with you, like when you were finished, like a specific scene or a specific moment, or just the book overall?
I think for me, I love missionary teams and security forces. And I really just love how this one kind of formed. It was very organic. And he did not set out to like build a team. It just sort of like happened. And he was like, oh shit, like, how did this happen? You know what I mean?
I have to talk to other people.
Yeah, he's like, I have to interact with humans. And I love how it kind of just organically came together, and like kind of the feeling what I think they kind of are going, they're in that gray area. They are the good guys, but like they go where the money is too.
Yeah, I thought the way in which the characters changed throughout the book is what I really liked. But it's one of those things that until you get to the end of the book, you don't notice that change. Like, they're pretty set in their mental state. They're pretty set in the way that they're going to deal with things. But then once you get to the book, like, it really expands, and you do get that understanding of their feelings and how they are. But it took a long time. And I thought that was really interesting, the way that she did that.
Yeah, usually characters kind of grow. Not that they don't grow. These two didn't grow together, because I think that there was, but I feel like it was a slower incremental, but then it was very clear at the end just how much they changed from the beginning of the book to the end of the book.
Yeah, I agree. And it's one of those things that they're pretty linear, like for probably 75-80% of the book. Like, they're very linear, like they make choices. But there's a moment that happens. They are together, and then like a moment happens and she leaves. And in that moment, you realize like just how deeply she actually does care for him. And it was that scene that really shows you like they're not as linear as they're pretending to be.
Well, and then on the flip side, he did something else. Yeah, that was, I was like, oh, I mean, yeah, if you do not have trigger warnings and you enjoy a dark romance, I would highly recommend this book.
It's a little bonkers. I'll throw that out there.
It is.
And it's frustrating that you go into it knowing it's going to be dark, and it's a lot darker than you anticipated, but not frustrated in a bad way. It's just like, oh man, she's really going there. And so like I was frustrated at the idea that she went there. But it's one of those books that it's a little bonkers, and you're like, I don't know if it's okay that I like this.
Like, what's wrong with me?
Because I think I texted you, or maybe I texted Becky, and I was like, they're just kind of crazy and bonkers, and bad things are happening, but I can't stop reading it.
I think it was both of us, because I think I had texted both of you, and I was like, because I know we don't have a lot of triggers. And so I was like, you guys, oh my God. Somebody read this book so I can talk about it with them, because oh my gosh.
Exactly.
I love these kind of books, but they are also hard to write reviews for, or to talk about with other people who haven't read it, because I really don't want to ruin it, and I don't want to
this
trigger
is one
someone.
of those. Well, and this is one of those books, even giving the triggers kind of gives something away in this book. And so it's one of those things where like we're talking in a lot of generals and like vagueness, but it's a book that you truly need to read it to get into the mindset of these two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what other titles might be similar to this book or an author with a similar style to this book?
So I actually happened to read Jana Darling's her MC series, and I had read book 2 with Zeus, and I mean, it's pretty similar.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's
not as dark.
definitely
I will tell you, it's not as Gianna Darling's is not as dark as this one.
Yeah, and I did notice, like, as I was thinking about series, like a lot of MC series came to mind for me because there was a little bit more gray in those series. But like Jessica Ames, I think she's in the UK, I think, and she has an MC series that I read a book by her the other day. And it is not as dark as this, but there are morally questionable things that these characters do. And then Rena Kent's actually her Mafia series. I read a couple of those. I skimmed a couple of those for a work thing a long time ago, and they're definitely like in the realm of the darkness. So like this book itself, like I haven't read anything that has the types of characters in this book, and that's one thing I really enjoyed too. But if you want those morally gray characters that these two have, like try like a darker MC series or like a dark Mafia series.
I don't have I've never read characters like this. And it's not that I wouldn't. I mean, I'm really excited for the next one.
I am too. I'm excited. I'm interested to see how these two characters interact with other people and the dynamic that these new characters are going to bring to the table.
And I hope we get more of these two in the next book because they're sort of like the leaders.
Yeah, I agree. But time will tell.
Yes.
Do you have a book you think we should review for a quick shot of romance? If you do, send us an email at thebees@bookcaseandcoffee.com. And thank you so much, Heather, for joining me on this quick shot of romance.
Anytime.
And until next time, happy reading, everybody.
Find us on Instagram at buzzingaboutromance or on Twitter at buzzingromance. If you like the podcast, please leave a review. If you'd like to support us directly, join the Bookcase and Coffee Patreon and receive exclusive content only available to Patreon members. Check out bookcaseandcoffee.com for our on-the-shelf show notes.